Hey there, and welcome back. It's James here. In the previous video, we covered setting up Replit, and we talked about how to write a very simple program called Hello World. So in this video, I'm going to take that a step further, and we're going to talk about something called comments. Now, in many programming courses, you don't start talking about comments or learning about comments until later in the course, but I think it's important to understand these up front. Basically, what a comment does is it allows you to add notes to your code so that somebody else looking at that code knows what it's doing, even if they're not necessarily a programmer. And also, it's going to help you because sometimes you're going to write a piece of code and you may not look at it again for a couple of weeks, months, or even years. And it's helpful to be able to come back and see your notes and say, okay, this is what this code is doing. This is especially important if you're going to be doing any type of freelance work, because I can tell you from experience, when I was hiring freelancers, I absolutely required them to comment the code because many years ago, I didn't know enough about programming to know what the programs were doing. And they would hand in source code. And if it wasn't commented, I didn't know what it was doing. I didn't know what they had accomplished. And it made it very difficult to, judge whether or not I wanted to continue to employ them on a project. So this will definitely be something you need to know. So there's two ways to do comments inside of Python. First way is the simplest way. We can do a comment by simply adding a hashtag and then writing whatever comment we want. So for example, if I was going to write a Hello World program, I might write something like print Hello World. That's what my code is going to do. And then I'm going to write the code that actually does that. Print Hello World. Now, when I hit run, you'll see it prints Hello World. This is a very, very basic example. Obviously, as you get better with programming, you're not going to be writing comments for every single piece of code. If you have something that says print Hello World, you're not going to need a comment. That's pretty self-explanatory. This becomes more important later when you start writing things like functions, where you might have a block of code that executes a certain task. It's a lot easier to simply read a simple comment and say, okay, this is what that function does, versus having to actually go through the function line by line and trying to remember what it does. And again, if an employer is looking at this code and they're not a developer, they need these comments to know what's going on. So that's a single line comment. It's just a hashtag and then whatever we want to write for the note. The computer itself, when it's running this program, it ignores these comments. It's only going to run line 2 here, not line 1. It completely skips it. If we want to do a multi-line comment, we can do that just like this. This is a multi-line comment. We can have as many lines as we wish. That's a multi-line comment. That's one way to do it, right? So for example, if you need to write more than one line about what your code is doing, another way to do a multi-line comment would be something like this with the triple quotation marks. And then you can just write whatever it is you need to write. So this is also a multi-line comment, and I can write as many lines as I need to. The computer will ignore it. And then I'll finish it with the triple quotations, and that's also fine. So I can hit run, and you can see it also runs that program. Main thing is, if you're going to do a multi-line comment, don't forget to close it with the triple quotations. If you forget that and try to run the program, you're going to see you get an error. So that's how comments work. It's a very, very simple thing. But most programmers that I've worked with in the past, most freelancers, they do not do a very good job of commenting the code, and that makes it very difficult to work with them. And I can tell you, as somebody who has hired, dozens of programmers over the last 10 years, that I care very much about whether or not the code is commented, and I also care about how well it's commented. Are the comments lazy comments, just kind of half-ass? Or are the comments, very descriptive, and it gives me an idea as the employer, as the person paying for this code, does it tell me what the code is actually doing? So I would highly recommend you get into the habit of writing good comments right from day one, which is why I'm including this as the second video in this Learning Python series. If you enjoyed this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave those down below in the comments, and I'll do my very best to address those for you.